Welcome everybody to what I think is an exciting topic that we're going to talk about now with infrastructure cloud and civil design review, validation and analysis. I'll put this tag on here. It's all about improving digital project delivery. And this is a key phrase that we're hearing a lot at the moment. And what I want to do really is take you on a little bit of a journey, just frame up some industry challenges that are going on, and then introduce the capability that we have and that we're about to bring onto the market as well. So we'll take you through that in the next 45, 50 minutes. We do have Joey Llewellyn on the call as well. He'll be fielding questions in the background. So feel free to ask those as we're going through. And we'll try and sort of pick up any really salient ones on the back end as well. So with that, I'd like to just sort of start out with some industry challenges. Now, these aren't new. Project delivery is evolving, and certainly on the back of the pandemic, we've seen some changes. I think you've all felt some changes as well. There's a workforce evolution change. We do have people that are retiring and sort of stepping back, especially on the back of the pandemic. We don't have the same numbers of new engineers coming through. So there's a change in that workforce that's going on there. The client demands themselves are changing, and this is on the back of the BIM evolution. There's more requirements for a greater level of detail in the modeling, greater attribution. And where does all this work occur? Well, it can't occur on the back end. It has to shift, to the design end, and that's a reality of the situation, that those client demands are increasing, and that leads to opportunities to people to specialize in certain areas for sure, to fill some of that white space and address those evolving client demands. And what we see really from a deliverables perspective, and pinch of salt to a certain extent with today and the 3-year projection, things can turn around at any time. But what you'll see there are sort of the two sides of the table, with the file-centric delivery, which is what we're typically familiar with and commonly using, over towards a data-centric delivery. And obviously that's where digital twins starts to get introduced and come into the forebear. And you can see the sort of the mindset shift. The 3D models in the middle, it's not quite 50-50, but it kind of is. We've been doing a lot of 3D modeling for a long time, depending on the industry sector. But there is that shift. There is that industry level shift, and it really comes back to that evolution from BIM requirements that we've seen in the past. Now, from a digital project delivery perspective, there is an aspiration for that digital delivery and utilizing new technology for review purposes and remote collaboration capabilities. And then there's the site reality. There's probably people on this call that are sitting looking at drawings like that on the wall now. And quite honestly, what's changed since the 1970s? Well, they're probably color prints now. That's probably about the only difference. But the workflows and processes that we're applying back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, they're still relevant today and still being used by a lot of people today. But obviously, the aspiration is for access to that additional level of detail, for that additional data attribution in the model. And that's really where the value proposition comes in. Now, what we're also seeing is model as a deliverable. It sits in parallel with that 3D modeling and iTwin perspective. And what we have here is this is just an example survey that was conducted by the National Cooperative Highway Research Programme back in February to all of its voting members of AASHTO. And it was looking at the state of the industry in terms of 3D model for construction purposes. And that's the state of the play as it was. And as it came out, planning, actually model as a legal document, and piloting, roughly about 5 each. Now, that's obviously changed since then, but it gives you an indication as to where some of the challenges are in terms of that adoption level. And it really comes down to, when you read through the report and extract the problems, The issues with model adoption are, as it says on the screen, processes for using the model, people skills, transitional workflows, and then the legality and liability associated with models. So, there's some fairly significant industry level problems. I've already mentioned about employment and about staffing and the changing workforce aspects. And, they really come into the top three, with the processes, people, and transitional workflows. Because how do you bring people onto sort of new technology like that? And that's the challenge. So, and here are some extracted quotes, and actually some other quotes that we see, talking and interviewing sort of industry thought leaders. And it really stems down to the state of the industry at the moment with regards to how they deal with contracts, going out to tender, going out to construction, and the handoff that they have. A common phrase that I hear is, the trust in the model isn't there. The accessibility to the attribution that's applied as labeling in drawings is available in drawing, but where is it in the model? How do I find that? And again, that comes back to the people processes, understanding the model. And other, I'll leave that on the screen there, but it's really about accessing the information and connecting the dots between the two different practices and workflows. Are they in sync with each other? The drawings come from the model, yes, but then they've been labeled up and attributed with standard details, with additional attribution. So are they in sync? And those are the challenges. It all comes down to sort of trust in the model to a certain extent. And this is where infrastructure digital twins really comes in that, for us, a digital twin is a synchronized virtual representation of the real world asset. It's a digital version that can be continuously updated across the life cycle, servicing multiple verticals and disciplines. So it's a rich 3D environment with 3D context, providing and serving up the information for whoever needs to access it. And that's the information. How do you get that we've referred to in the past, some dark data? How do you dig down into the model and leverage that to make sure it's actually live and visible at the right time to the right people? And those are some of the challenges that people face, is that information, perhaps information agility, and how do they leverage that information that's available in these models at the right time to the right people? Then what you'll see if you have a look at year in infrastructure from 2022, from last year, of the 36 finalists, 15 of them were crediting iTwin. So there's clearly a value that people are realizing with utilizing digital twins or iTwins. And we're seeing that across the board in all of the disciplines, and specifically there's some highway and rail and bridge and the like. So clearly there is an advantage that people are drawing out from this. And some of it is really down to some of the benefits, reduction in cost, decrease in delivery time, and a reduction in design errors. And these numbers are quoted from submissions for year in infrastructure. So this is the benefit that people achieve on the back of a digital twin and digital processes. So this is where we introduce infrastructure cloud. Now, again, at year in infrastructure last year in London, we introduced the concept of Bentley Infrastructure Cloud, and that it provides the sort of the backbone for digital delivery across the infrastructure lifecycle. And it essentially regroups the different product lines that are all empowered by iTwin to provide technology and data flow across the disciplines. So here, obviously, we have project-wise, synchro, asset-wise, reducing the silos between those different disciplines for design, build, and operate, and breaking down the barriers. And that's where, with civil, I always like to use the phrase, we've been civilizing things. We've been adding in capability that services our civil product lines, be it open roads, open rail, open bridge, open tunnel.